We are continuing with the chapter Chemical Coordination and Integration, and further moving to study or trying to understand the human endocrine system. So in this video, we'll be discussing about the thyroid gland, the parathyroid and the thymus gland, their structure and their functioning. Now when we talk of the glands over here, first is the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is one of the important gland of an endocrine system, and it is a bilobed structure that is having two lobes and is present on either side of trachea. Here you can see that the structure is present. The two lobes of the thyroid gland are present on either side of the trachea, and they are connected by a connective tissue which is known as isthmus. So isthmus is the connecting. Over here they will be joined by isthmus. So the two lobes are interconnected with each other. Now the thyroid gland actually produces two important hormones, that is thyroxine hormone or T4 hormone and the T3 hormone. The thyroxine hormone is also known as tetraiodothyronine, or we also call it as thyroxine hormone, or another name is T4 hormone, and it also secretes the triiodothyronine or T3 hormone. Now the secretion of these hormones is brought about by the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. Now if the structure is, because the thyroid gland consists of two types of tissues or the cells, that is the follicular tissues or follicular cells and the stromal tissues. Now the follicular tissues actually enclose the cavity, and this cavity is known as or made up of stroma tissues. So these are the follicular cells, and these follicular cells secrete these hormones. So both the hormones are very important in regulating the metabolism as well as the growth of the body of an organism. Now, the secretion of these two hormones is highly dependent on iodine, and especially the secretion of thyroxine hormone. If sufficient iodine is not included or there is deficiency of iodine in our body, then that results into a disease which is known as goiter. Goiter is the disease which is due to the deficiency of the iodine, and which in turn will also affect the amount of the synthesis of these two hormones. So iodine is very important for normal functioning of thyroid hormones. In case if the thyroid is not functioning normally, or we call it as malfunctioning of thyroid, then two conditions arise. One is hypothyroidism and the second is hyperthyroidism. Hypothyroidism means there is less secretion of these hormones, whereas the hyperthyroidism means there is more secretion of the hormones by the thyroid gland. So it is due to the poor activity or the hypoactivity, and this is due to hyperactivity of the thyroid gland. Now both conditions will have a different effect on the body of an organism. In case of hypothyroidism, if the condition or if the amount of the thyroid hormone secreted is less during the pregnancy, then it will affect the development of the baby. That means the proper growth will not be taking place, stunted growth will happen, that is cretinism will be there, then mental retardation. All these are effects of the hypothyroidism, the lower IQ and lower, that is abnormal skin development, lot of effect can be brought about but due to hypothyroidism. On the contrary, if due to the hyperactivity of the thyroid, due to the hyperactivity of the thyroid hormone, that thyroid gland, the effects are quite different. And this hyperactivity can be due to the development of nodes or nodules within the thyroid gland due to the development of cancer or maybe some other reason. Now, it as a result, more amount of thyroxine hormone is secreted, and there is swelling of the gland, and also it will result in the mental restlessness. It affects the cardiovascular activity, and the mental anxiety is there, feeling of excessive heat is there. These are some of the effects of the hyperthyroidism. The patient may start losing the weight also. So these are various effects of the thyroid gland. Now, coming to the parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland is named so because it is closely associated with the thyroid gland. This picture shows the presence of the thyroid gland on the ventral side, and on the back side, that is at the back side or the dorsal side of the thyroid gland, parathyroid gland are present. They are four in number. The parathyroid will be present at the back of the thyroid gland, and they secrete a very important hormone which is proteinaceous in nature and is known as parathyroid hormone, which is also referred to as PTH. This is also called as collapse hormone. So parathyroid hormone is also known as collapse hormone, since it was discovered by Philip Collip. So it is also known as Collip's hormone. Now, this hormone actually helps in increasing the calcium concentration in the blood. So it will cause the concentration of calcium to be increased within the blood, and it actually acts on bones, thereby causing the reabsorption and the demineralization of the bones. It also affects the, or it stimulates the reabsorption of calcium ions by the renal tubules. When the waste passes through the renal tubules, that is the PCT, DCT, and the Henle's loop, it helps in the reabsorption of calcium ions, and also the calcium ion absorption is increased as the food passes through the alimentary canal or the gut. So it increases the absorption from the digested food, and therefore it is referred to a hypercalcemic hormone. Hypercalcemic because it increases the calcium level within the blood. It is important, and along with the thyrocalcitonin, that is TCT, it helps in maintaining the calcium balance in the body, and therefore it is very, very important as it regulates the amount of calcium within the body and brings about normal functioning. The next gland which we'll be discussing over here is the thymus gland. The thymus gland is again a bilobed structure, and one of the peculiar feature of the thymus gland is it is well developed in young. And as an individual grows old, the thymus gland starts degenerating. And in the old individuals, it is very small, causing a significant decrease in the immunity of the old individual. It is present between the lungs behind the sternum. And it secretes a hormone which is again peptide hormone, thymosin. And this thymosin actually plays a major role in the developing immunity of the body. The thymosin is responsible for the differentiation of the T cells, that is the thymus cells. And differentiation, that means it prepares, allows it to mature, and these T cells play a very important role in cell mediated immunity. Also, the thymus gland produces antibodies which actually provide the humoral immunity. These cell mediated immunity and humoral immunity are very, very important mechanism to fight against various kinds of infections. So, thymus gland along with the parathyroid and thyroid gland brings about varying kind of function. Over here we see that the thyroid gland is overall important for the growth and the metabolic activities of a person, whereas the parathyroid helps in increasing or maintaining the calcium balance, because it mostly helps in reabsorption of calcium, and also with the help of TCT, that is thyrocalcitonin, it helps in maintaining the calcium content of the body, and the thymus gland, which plays an important role in developing the immunity and also sustaining it.